Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of race number 7 of the inaugural season of the Champions Motorsports Truck Series. Tonight, we are live from the virtual World Center of Racing in Daytona Beach, Florida for the Draft Meet 200 miles around this 2.5 mile super speedway race, 7 of 8. And that means 80 laps of racing on the high banks of the Daytona International Speedway. My name is Alec Martinez, and joining me in the booth tonight as my partner and producer is Eddie Smith. Eddie, man, it's been a wild few weekends of racing. Last week, Davis Braun has gone on a streak. He won Pocono, then backed it up with another win at Homestead Miami Speedway. But tonight, much different racing. We're going to see every single truck be competitive. We are going to be side by side, 2, 3 wide. What are you expecting here for tonight's race?
Well, I'm just interested to see how these guys who, this is a road course league, and so ovals are something that they've definitely seen before, but Daytona Talladega is a completely different animal. Drafting, being in a pack, working together with your enemies. You're working with the guys that you're trying to beat, and you have to work together if you're going to push those lines out front. So I'm expecting to see a lot of fun. Guys really kind of moving and shaking, and probably a lot of hurt feelings and action as guys are just not used to running in big packs. 3 wide can be a little nervous if you've never done it before, especially at Daytona. And so that's what I expect tonight. Just a lot of fun, but could be calamity at any moment.
Definitely could be, and that always reminds us of the fact of the big one. How many trucks then? And it's always a question not if, but when it happens here tonight. Let's go to our track facts here for the Daytona International Speedway. Located in Daytona Beach, Florida, Big Bill France Sr. decided to build a super speedway and open up what was the largest track in the United States at the time. Opened it up in 1959. That first race was won by Lee Petty in the inaugural Daytona 500. This track fits a capacity of 167,785 people. Usually a sellout for the Daytona 500, which has been for the last 10 years. Another sellout this year for the 2023 Daytona 500. But this year, and this track, 2.5 miles long straightaways, narrow but high banked corners. We are going to see tight racing, pushing and shoving down the straightaways. A rule change for tonight: no pushing, no locking bumpers on these with these trucks in the corners, but on the straightaways they will be able to push each other. So that'll be a key factor in tonight's race here, as qualifying is just coming to an end here. I believe just a few more minutes until it's all said and done. But man, this track, so iconic. One of the most famous racetracks in the world. Back when they started racing here, they started racing on the beach in the original creation of NASCAR down at the Streamline Hotel in 1948. They decided we're going to take the cars down to the beach. And then about 11 years later, they decided to configure and build this wonderful racing venue, top of the line racing venue, where this track holds the 24 hours of Daytona, obviously the Daytona 500, and then the Coke Zero 400 at the playoff cutoff for NASCAR. But man, there's nothing like the World Center of Racing at Daytona.
Yeah, a world-class facility. Anybody, you go to these different facilities. Indy, obviously legendary, and then you've got all the tracks abroad that are just unbelievable, especially in the Formula One circuit. But Daytona is just kind of our little gold nugget, if you will, of just a world-class facility for NASCAR racing. It's just the birthplace of NASCAR. It continues to be one of the biggest races. There's 2 races in the season, and both of them guys want to win bad. There's just something about etching your name on that list of drivers who won at Daytona that can really make or break a career. You think about Trevor Bayne. Yeah. Trevor Bayne's had a tough career, but that during the tandem drafting of the COT, he's able to get a win, and that changes your life whenever you're able to get on that trophy and put your name down.
It is virtual or real life. There's nothing like winning at the World Center of Racing in Daytona. You talk about big names that have never ever got the chance to win the Daytona 500. Big names like Tony Stewart, Mark Martin never were able to. But let's get on to the Champions Motorsports Truck Series. Right now, currently, Miguel Colon has put together a stellar season. 2 wins on the season, 1 at Mid-Ohio, the other early in the season, I believe, at should have been. Honestly, he should have 4 or 5 wins, but was able to get a win earlier this year, and I believe I'm blanking on the racetrack. Actually, was it North Wilkesboro, or was it the week before that?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but
it's been a while.
He's been in contention in
every
race. Yeah, so he
race
definitely deserves to be where he is in the point standings for sure.
Yes, and he's had such a great season so far. 41 trailing behind him is Kyle Smith. who's also had a win, got the win in the inaugural race of the season there at Texas. Then Brett Stevens, who also has a win, and then Davis Braun, who has won the last 2 races here in this league. Davis Braun trying to go 3 in a row. Arguably the hardest track to win at this season that they've been to. And really, anybody's in contention, so I think we're going to be in for a awesome race tonight. And let's get to our starting lineup for the Draft Me 200 here at Daytona. Dennis Crosby gets the pole with a 51.736 Ford F-150, leading the field to green tonight. How about the boss man, David Anderson, going to be rolling off in second, leader of that 50-plus point standings. David Anderson looking to get a good start here tonight. Then you got Chris Hudson, the 43, that famous 43 Penny Blue Truck. Look out for him tonight. Brett Stevens going to be to his outside in row number 2, starting 4th. The championship points leader Miguel Colon starts 5th, and to his outside Alex Maynard trying to get another top 10 after last week's finish. Anthony James rolls off in 7th here tonight in the 216. And like we said, the last winner of the last 2 races, Davis Braun will roll off in row number 4, starting 8th. Row number 5, the second place man in points, Kyle Smith, trying to get every single point he can to close up on the gap between he and Miguel Colon. He'll be rolling off 9th, and good to see him back. Rodney Campbell in the 62 rolls off in 10th.
Yeah, starting 11th is Doug Betts, and 12th is Pierre Robitaille. Starting in 13th is Drew Litka, and Brian Shabelski going to round out the 14th position. Mark Nister, haven't seen him in a few weeks. Glad to see him. He's going to roll off 15th, and 16th is Tim Collier. 17th, Jose DeLeo, and Jack Clark starting in the 18th position, and that rounds out your field.
That rounds out the field here for tonight. The Draft Me 200, I believe, I'm going to go Jose DeLeo, in the 36, making his career debut here tonight in Daytona, as they'll go halfway down the backstretch. It's going to be interesting to see race analysis here, obviously, in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series trucks. Obviously, the real Craftsman Truck Series race is still taking place currently live, 35 to go at Kansas, but open setups, 80 laps. Remember, no lucky dogs and one fast repair. Definitely something that could come in handy here at a track like Daytona. Man, it's going to be a good race. It's been a great season, and man, I'm excited to get this going now. There's our driver cams for tonight. Oh, that's a little nice touch. Here on your left in the Ford Racing banner, that's Dennis Crosby, your pole sitter. Right in the middle, that's Chris Hudson. He'll be rolling off 3rd. Kyle Smith, they're up on the top right there. Then you got Brian Shabelski on the bottom left, and then Miguel Colon on the bottom right. Those are your 5 driver cameras for tonight here in 3 and 4. Before we go green, Eddie, I got to ask you, who is your pick to win the night?
I have no idea. Daytona, it's impossible to pick it. But if I've got to, I've got to think about somebody who's been aggressive, and I'm going to go with Dennis Crosby because he has been an aggressive driver, and I feel like that's what it's going to take here at Daytona.
Yeah, I think it could be. And I love the petty colors here with Chris Hudson. I think Chris Hudson gets that first win tonight. But here we go. Pace truck is off and into pit road. Green flag in the air. We're underway from the World Center of Racing at Daytona. Here they come across the line to lead lap 1. It's Dennis Crosby in the 22. Help from the inside truck, the Petty Blue Truck STP Toyota Tundra TRD Pro of Chris Hudson. But on the outside, surging is the 78 of David Anderson. Help from Brett Stevens. Then Alex Maynard, Anthony James in the 216 on the inside as well. So far, about 2-3 rows of side by side. That inside lane getting a little squirrely here right now down the backstretch.
Yeah, they're all starting to get it getting the feel of the truck, getting the feel of the draft, And you see Brett Stevens being aggressive early. David Anderson didn't get a great jump, but he was able to get some help from behind and able to push that top line. A little side note, but talking about no bump drafting in the corners, there's actually a rule that if somebody calls out and says, "Hey, I don't want you to bump me," that you have to back off. So I don't know what the penalty is for that, but that was the rule told in Discord before the race.
Oh, man.
So if somebody doesn't feel comfortable, you have to back off of them. And so, as we see, my goodness, that's Alex
Big
Maynard.
checker, Alex Maynard.
Yeah, getting really close.
Right there, almost a little bit of contact with Mark Nistra. And I'm starting to notice these trucks getting a little squirrely off the corners. We know these trucks, a lot side force is big with these NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series vehicles, but we also know with the way the draft is, there's a bunch of air coming up off of these trucks, and if you get someone on your outside already, we're out in the day. I was expecting this to be a night race, but a day race really throws things for a loop as well. These trucks will have handling start to come into effect, especially later into these runs where you will most definitely see these trucks get out of shape. It's just going to be if these guys can hold on. As you can see, the stack up there on the bottom lane contact, Anthony James, Alex Maynard, these guys riding the line. It's, again, lap 3 of 80, still a long way to go for Daytona. There's going to be 2, 3, 4 pit stops to go, and that is where I think we're going to see separate this field a little bit. Right now, we're double filing unless we get a caution. If we get green flag pit stops, you might see this pack dwindle down to 8, 9, 10 trucks here. And currently, we've got the whole field in this pack right now.
Yeah, everybody's just trying to feel it out. One thing I'd like to think about, with open sets, you don't see that very often, but open sets can kind of get you caught in a trap here at Daytona specifically, because you set it up for the fastest qualifying that you can get, and that kind of makes your truck a little bit loose in a pack situation. Fixed setups are kind of a little bit more stable. So, how many people, worked on their setup and tweaked their setup for just straight up speed, and how many for comfort, especially as the run goes on. Tires not a huge deal, but they can make a difference. So you might see guys be a little bit more squirrely, especially with someone right on their back bumper tonight.
That is for sure. You'll definitely see these trucks, like I said, get a little bit looser as this run goes on. You can see Chris Hudson all over the back bumper of Dennis Crosby. Right now, there's no point in making an aggressive move. You're 5 laps into an 80-lap race. Again, you're only 10 miles into a 200-mile race, so you just got to be very careful. And on board with Chris Hudson, you can see him having to put a little counter into that wheel. Not only do you not have any air coming on in front of you, especially with Dennis Crosby in front of you, you might have Miguel Colon behind you, and there is a bunch of air. The draft is pulling you, but it's also sucking you around, kind of. It's getting you loose, and you got to be very careful. As that time, David Anderson takes the lead here and gets the lap led for pushing from Brett Stevens. That inside lane's kind of starting to stack up a little bit, and that's along the outside lane to kind of surge, get more momentum, especially with pushing from the 86 truck. Now, I do want to think as well, temperatures in these trucks. Like I said, when you're pushing down these straightaways, you got to be careful because it all depends how much tape you're running too. The temperatures in these trucks, when you cut off the air circulation,
three-wide situation here.
Smith up to the middle. This could be some doing. Anthony James through the grass.
Oh my goodness!
This might be a caution. No, it's not. James up to the middle, but there's door banging in the middle of the corner. You got Brett Stevens getting shuffled out of line. So is David Anderson. Alex Maynard also on line. Oh, there's contact. Kyle Smith, David Anderson. They somehow save it again.
Wow, yeah, Anthony James slow on the apron as they're 3 wide here, as, Kyle Smith made a move to try to go through the inside, and it's hurting him as he is stuck, and he's going to make contact with David Anderson. Now they make contact again. They're going around. Wreck. Kyle Smith goes around. David Anderson, your last week's winner, Davis Braun goes around, and big wreck here on lap 7. That is not what you want to see. Oh, my goodness.
Not what you want to see. The big one strikes early on lap 7 of 80. David Anderson's truck destroyed and now taken to pit lane. And what could be the end of David Anderson's championship hopes at a 50-plus championship, and as well as the regular championship as well. Big championship implications. Kyle Smith involved. The winner of the last 2 weeks, Davis Braun, is also involved.
Yeah, let's
Multiple
go back.
others as well collected.
Yeah, let's go back and look. First thing I want to look at is Anthony James going, just getting, I don't know if the line checked up. We're going to check and see right here. But watching on board, this is Anthony James, as you're going to see him go down to the inside and just take off. So we'll see what happens right here.
Yeah, right here, they stack up a little bit, it seems, ahead of him. And then, Mark Mister comes down
there with the 05.
And honestly, that might have been a blessing in disguise for what was going to happen. Oh man, a big jump there. It might hopefully not have any damage to the splitter on the underneath. And then in here, these guys were, honestly, they were asking for a wreck. There was constant contact middle of the pack between Kyle Smith, David Anderson, and it carried all the way down the front stretch, and then into turn one where trouble ensued. You'll go into turn one here. They're 3 wide. You got the 55 in the middle, Braun on the inside lane. Then you got David Anderson. They make a little bit of contact. They're close. Then it's just the air pulls him up to the outside. You see the backfire. He gets out of the gas. Just nothing they could do. Anderson goes into the wall, and then right here, Braun head on into the wall goes Kyle Smith. Anderson nowhere to go. Rodney Campbell, Drew Lidkia, Pierre Robitaille gets caught up in it. Davis Braun up in it, and look at that truck go right through the middle. I believe was that who was that just missed it? Was that Tim Collier in the 200 went right through the middle of all that. Rodney Campbell got a little bit of a piece of it. I mean, look at that. Seas parting. Moses style goes right on through the field, or through the wreck. But up right here, you can see Collier on board with him, goes right by. Got car spinning up to the outside, to the inside, right in front of him, and just misses it. But Drew Lidkia also caught up in it. I believe a few other guys. Jack Clark might have, I think he just missed it. But a ton of damage for a lot of trucks early in this race.
Yeah, and I hate to, I always hate to be critical of drivers in the race when I'm in the booth. But, in that moment, I think maybe a little aggressive from Kyle Smith. I think he got up there and tried to make a move, and I think nobody else was really interested. And he just continued to do that. And it all started when he goes down in turn one, and the truck just kind of pushes up into David Anderson a little bit, and that kind of set the chain reaction off. It just seemed like it's a little bit too early for that. I think if you go down, if you make a move 3 wide and and nobody goes with you, that's a pretty good sign that it's maybe a little bit too early. And I think that's where that started. I mean, we got 80 laps, and that was the big one there before lap 10. So, I think good thing that they have faster pairs. And so far, Drew Lidkia has taken his, Rodney Campbell has taken his, Kyle Smith obviously had to take his.
Yeah,
everybody
had
else
to take his. Braun as well.
Yeah, David Anderson is currently towing. He may take it once the tow is done.
Wow, interesting move from Davis Braun. He did not fix his damage, and he's got no bumper cover on the back end of that Toyota Tundra. You can see the right front fender is crumpled, but look at the back of this race truck. There is nothing left of it. And that right there is obviously, I don't think that truck's going to be able to keep up in the draft if he gets back out there and tries to stay with the pack. He'll maybe be able to stay with the pack for the first 2 corners, and then it's over. Yeah,
it's a gamble for sure. Just depending on how much damage you have. If you can keep up with the pack, you want to save that faster pair. Having to use it this early is really, really tough. You want to be able to save it for the end. So I don't hate the move by Davis Braun. It just depends on if he can keep up with the pack. If he can hold on to it, then it's a good move. If not, it's gonna be trouble for him pretty quick.
Yeah, that's for sure. And wrecking the Real Truck Series race as well, which will, a lot of things going on this Friday night. You got college football going on. You got the Real NASCAR Crash Truck Series. You got this the Champion Motorsports Truck Series. There's a lot of things going on here on a Friday night. But man, has it been a good weekend as well. So looking forward to this upcoming weekend. Man, and is it next week? Bristol in the Real Life Cup Series as well.
Yes.
That's going to be fun. Oh man, Bristol night race. There really is nothing like it. And then it's week 1 of the NFL.
Yeah, really excited about that. Well, I don't know if I'm excited. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, so
that's a shame.
I don't get really too much excited about the NFL. It's sort of always a disappointment. But I've been a Tennessee Titan fan forever. Not going to change anytime soon. We'll hold out. And hopefully they do something good. So yeah, excited to have all that back, and excited to be here on the Friday Night Truck Series. I mean, this has been a fantastic season. David Anderson's done such a great job. He's having a tough night tonight, but he's done a great job with this series. These guys, admittedly, not big oval racers, but I think a lot of them have shown a lot of really good oval race ability throughout the whole season. I think it's been a success to see these guys take the track and have an open setup, which I think is pretty daunting for a lot of folks. And it's been really awesome. Races has been really exciting and a lot of fun. And here the penultimate race at Daytona, it's going to be a good show for sure. Daytona always has some really good finishes.
Sure, always some of the best here at Daytona.
Well, getting ready to go green here. The pace truck going to pull off into the Geico restart zone. Dennis Crosby going to take the green flag. And that bottom line is really, really not really tight. Yeah. The top side's really close. Jump. Well, they're close together, but you look how spread out that bottom line is. That top line's going to be dominant pretty quickly unless they can get sort of put together there.
It's pushed out. Snow game.
Yeah, it seems like, sorry about the technical difficulties, seems like Discord is having some issues right now, so we'll try to get Alec back in just a second. But it looks like Discord's having some issues. But right now, side by side here, between Dennis Crosby and Chris Hudson, as they come to take crossover into lap 12.
Yeah, we're good. Sorry, I don't know if something was going on there, but side by side for the lead now.
Yeah, I think it was
Chris
Discord.
Hudson. Yeah, that's odd. Chris Hudson up to the outside now, pushing, getting some help from Mark Niester in the 05. Miguel Colon up there as well. And then on the inside, you got Dennis Crosby and Doug Betts. The outside lane starting to surge halfway down the backstretch. Hudson getting a nice push there from the 05.
Yeah, that top line, you could see just how close they are. Ooh, a big little push there for the 200. The 21, I believe, of Drew Litkia gives him a big shove. And, a lot of times we're going to have problems where, the front two of each line are the ones that are pushing. You could see down there Doug Betts really pushing. But the third truck in line really doesn't do anything. The iRacing doesn't transfer momentum like that. Even in real life, that's sort of a silly bet anyway. So what you're going to see, issues you're going to see is the front two going to be pushing, get as close as they can. And then you're going to see that third truck in line try to push, but that's going to end up causing issues most of the time. So you're going to have to be careful if you're the third truck in line to push as Doug Betts gets really loose there as Chris Hudson gets a nice push from Mark Niester, and the top line's really rolling after that.
Oh, Anthony James giving it Drew Litkia a big shove down the backstretch. And we always talk about it, Eddie and I, when we're racing. And this goes for really anybody. You don't want to, quote unquote, push the pusher, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Once that guy on the outside or inside is tucked in behind, pushing the lead truck, the guy in the third lane or the third in line, it's hard for them to go anywhere. And it's fun. You just can't. We've seen so many wrecks in real life, in really any car at these super speedways or truck. That third car in line sometimes, and a lot of the time, triggers the wreck. He'll get into the guy on the outside, or the second guy in line. He'll get hooked down to the guy in the inside lane, and it causes a massive chain reaction and a massive wreck.
Yeah,
and that's another big thing you look out for, too.
The third truck just needs to get to the back bumper of that second truck and just stay as close as you possibly can. Any contact's really just wasted. And so you want to get right to that back bumper and stay as close as you possibly can. That's going to help generate the speed. Keep that line tight. That's going to usually be the best line. Whatever one can keep it tight for the longest. But yeah, right. I mean, pretty much in any plate race, the way that things are now, the front two cars of each line are sort of the controllers of the race. They're the ones who set how this goes and how it goes. And Doug Betts right now doing a great job of keeping Dennis Crosby out front. You can see Chris Hudson gets the runs down the straightaway, but then Doug Betts gets right to the back bumper of Dennis Crosby and prevents that run from sort of going anywhere, and so he's able to maintain that lead. Chris Hudson gets a nice jump there, but you see Doug Betts pushing Dennis Crosby into the corner, and it's going to make him surge ahead here in the middle of 3 and 4.
I will say I'm starting to notice if you want a truck pushing, you want the 3 truck. And Doug Betts, and we always know the 3 so iconic at this racetrack. 1998, Dale Earnhardt breaking the 20-year winless streak of the Daytona 500. That 3 car was always so good here. Obviously, ton of wins in the not the Daytona 500, but if there's any number you want to have and you want to represent it good at Daytona, it's definitely the number 3. And so far, what I can see of everybody that's been pushers. Doug Betts seems to be the best, seems to be the most comfortable to be pushing, and he seems the most comfortable guy to have behind you, not really giving you any excessive pushes. And also, look at how much he pushes Dennis Crosby ahead, backs out of it into the corner to make sure he's not causing any any effect of maybe the 22 getting loose or spinning him. And he's just doing a great job managing that gap, managing the pushes, and he's doing a great job. And then the third truck in line, the rookie, in making his first career race, first career start, Jose Dolio, up in the 36 truck. He's having a solid race so far, up in the top 5. I mean, he's maybe somebody you want to watch out for when we get to the end of this thing as well. Started 17th, up 14 positions. I mean, that's so far not too bad. But
almost had to broadcast a curse on him there. He wasn't ready for that checkup on the bottom line, and that's maybe a little bit of inexperience. You kind of know when that's going to happen, so a little bit of inexperience there. But he's able to avoid calamity. That was close, though.
Yeah, that was close, and like we say, talking about pushing in the pusher and also being careful pushing in the corners. We saw 2 weeks ago here. Obviously not in trucks, but in the Cup cars, Ryan Blaney, Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell have a big wreck because of a bad push in the corners. I don't know here, they don't really want guys pushing, but when we get to the end of this race, I think all that's going to probably go out the window because it's a win on the line.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to really, that was kind of the rule before the race, is no pushing in the corner. We weren't present for the drivers' meeting, so we don't know what was said there, but it was just pushing on the straights, and that's just to try to eliminate those bad pushes in the corner. However, the problem is, a big way you're going to get the win here is being able to push in the corner. Right now, I mean, we could see the three truck able to kind of stay close to the bumper, maybe even push in the middle of the corner. So I don't know how they're going to sort of police that, because the people who's going to win this race is the one that can push in the corner, especially like you said on the last lap. So we'll see if they police it, if it makes a big deal about it. But if you can push it,
Miguel Colon is around. The championship leader has been caught up in a wreck. The 87 truck, the Don Salvo shop Toyota Tundra, is around on the front stretch.
And I think he blinked out.
Heavy damage. Yeah, he blinked out, reappeared, and this is the worst track to have an issue like that happen. Came back, and then he got turned up into the outside.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the replay. It's not going to be a great replay because we're only going to give you a little bit as he's coming back in. And yeah, he just got run over. He probably thinks, why did you just run through me? And we don't even know who that was, but he blinked out for a good 3, 4, 5 seconds. I saw him drop down, and when he comes back, he's without bumpers and doors pushed in, all kinds of stuff.
It would have been Tim Collier in the 200, but I don't think Tim would have been able to see him. And there was really nowhere for Tim to go because he's gone. And that's the one thing you got to always remember. And when we're racing on the simulator, this game.
Well, he was running in 7th.
Yeah.
So he had fallen back quite a bit. And like you said, when on Miguel's screen, it probably looked like a bunch of people just ran right through him. And he's like, what in the world? Yeah,
and when you have that happen, at least being on the not on the receiving end, but being on the end that gives it, you can't see him, and then when he pops back, he's right in front of you, and there's nowhere to go, and you drive through him. You don't mean to. It's just that's how it is when you disappear, because you're not getting connection to the server, or the internet there is not working for just a split second. And obviously that the worst time to have that is on a super speedway because everybody's so clumped together.
I wonder.
In a super speedway, it's a different story.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like the mechanical issue. If you have a blown tire or something, that's sort of what that's like. And unfortunately, luckily for the field is when that happens, you're not really, you're not going to have that issue with everybody else. It's just Miguel the one that's going to get the worst of it.
Everybody bringing it down pit road so far, so it gives us a couple minutes to take a deep breath, and then we'll go back at it again. But so far, everybody's staying out. David Anderson looks like if he can get a wave around here with the way the cautions have been falling, I don't think that's a terrible strategy at all. As Anthony James decided to stay out. So that
Jose DeLeo as well. He stayed out.
Jose DeLeo as well. Brett Stevens, Kyle Smith, top 2 off of pit road. So Move Stevens is the first guy with fresh tires. I believe may have taken just fuel only. Dennis Crosby, I believe, may have taken tires. Not sure. Let me take the tire limits. Yeah, they got 2 limits. Or 2 tires laying in the pits, so some possibly taking 4 here, and then still 1 more to go in the
Yeah,
rest of the race to take.
It's like Dennis Crosby took 4, Doug Betts as well. So, these surfaces are not too abrasive, but like I said, with open setups, you never know how your setup's going to feel. And with 4 tires, you always kind of have that security. Talking about the wave around with David Anderson, I wonder if he kind of at this moment is regretting the fact that he did not. They don't allow for lucky dogs. Because he's a couple laps down and is going to be a nightmare. With Anthony James staying out, that kind of blocks him from getting that wave around. But without that lucky dog, it's going to be a tough night to get back on the lead lap, currently 2 laps down.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And unless the 216 of Anthony James pits, then I believe he will unfortunately still be trapped a lap down and have to go to the back, so you might as well bring it down pit road here if the 216 doesn't pit. If he does, I think it's well worth staying out here and getting that lap back. So we'll be able to see here what happens. I think the 216 is not going to come in. So if you're David Anderson, you're going to bring it down pit road, get fuel, and just be ahead of it on strategy. But interesting call from Anthony James there. Respecting, get some laps led, so be interesting to see as we'll take the 1 to green here. Still a long way to go, and we talk about real life. The NASCAR playoffs, Cup Series playoffs, are beginning. I must ask you, already off of Darlington, your boy Kyle Larson getting the win at Darlington. Who do you think he's the championship favorite, or you got somebody else in mind?
I don't think I have a hard time deciding that this soon. I think Kyle's definitely in the conversation, but Martin Truex has just had the fastest cars all season long and really hasn't let up. I know last week's not a good week for him, but it would be hard for me to not to say Martin Truex Jr. They've been just too fast all season long.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Not with Truex, though, and I think Truex. Personally, I'm of the opinion chalk him in. I think Byron. I think Byron has got to be the guy to beat, no matter where they go. And just like Truex, where Truex is the fastest car, Byron's right behind him in the second fastest car. So, I think if you're all said and done, look at who won Phoenix earlier this year, William Byron. I think Willie B has just been on it, and I think this year he's going to take that 24 car back to the famed championship position. So I mean, why not? I mean, this year's been great. Darlington was great. It was awesome watching Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick duel it out. And I think we'll see those two definitely back at it again on Sunday with Denny Hamlin and Truex as well. And I'll tell you he continues to surprise me. Chris Buescher, man, that guy's been on it.
Yeah, fun to see RFK be a lot more competitive this year after just an abysmal year. And a lot of our audience probably don't know what we're talking about because we have a big road course audience. I'm sure a lot of these guys maybe don't follow NASCAR, so sorry about that. But getting ready to go green. We got a restart here. Anthony James is going to have his first time out front, and I'm excited to see Dennis Crosby, Doug Betts get connected up and see if they can get back to the front.
Yeah, see how well these trucks line up. Kyle Smith gets a great restart. He'll be able to get to the back bumper of the 216, push him. Stevens and Crosby disconnected, but Stevens pulling him back with that side drop. But here comes Betts now, going to dip down to the inside. That leaves Braun and Collier to have to do something here. Ooh, James decides to come up a little bit. Stevens still pulling him back, doing a great job with the side draft. But now down this the back stretch, that bottom lane will surge because there's just no help on the outside lane until now. Braun now going to close up to the back bumper of the 86 truck, and he'll shove him. Now Anthony James clear by 2 car lengths ahead of the outside lane. Kyle Smith's got to be very careful getting on the inside quarter panel. Now James gets shuffled up to the outside. Stevens going to put him in the sucker hole. There goes James from the lead, possibly back even more. Stevens with help from Braun, Smith with help from Crosby. Now Hudson and Campbell come up into the picture as well, but now Anthony James in the middle. This is where the guys have got to be careful. It's going to get dicey, but look at James all by himself in the middle, surging, trying to get the lead. Now 3 wide for the lead, but they're going to
make contact. Oh my goodness. No love for Anthony James as he is up there battling, trying to maintain that track position as they go right around him and leave him 3 wide. And he just no help for Anthony James. I guess they feel like you need to come down and get 4 tires or we're not going to work with you. But he's doing a good job of maintaining, keeping these trucks, make them a little nervous, let them break up. and he
Yeah.
he's surging ahead again by himself.
This bottom lane's loving it. Those top three starting to pull away with 3 wide for the 4th place position. Now going to be 5th with Nister. Now James up in the middle still in the steel Ford F-150. And then he had Davis Braun, the winner of the last 2 races there on the outside. And the Exalta Toyota Tundra still 3 wide on board with the 216 of James. Just goes up the racetrack, but now he'll pull back in the middle. If you're Brett Stevens, I think you want to get behind the 216 and maybe just push him ahead. Now James jumps up. Now Nister jumps up, shuffling middle of the pack. Excuse me. You got Chris Hudson going down. You got Miguel Colon going down. Now Nister getting a big shove from James. Maynard comes up the racetrack. They'll bobble and weave in the middle of 3 and 4. It's 5, 6 trucks now clear on the inside lane. One being the lap truck of David Anderson. Now Rodney Campbell gets shuffled out. David Anderson trying to get his lap back the old-fashioned way. Stack up middle of the pack. You got James, Stevens, and Braun stacking up, getting to the middle, getting to each other there.
Are you gonna make it? There was a lot of stuff going in there, and you tried to cover every bit of it. Great job by Alec, but yeah, a lot of movement there as guys are trying to make that top side work. But because of that, the top side really just died.
Goodness.
Yeah, the top side died there, and that was now Chris Hudson gonna jump up there and try to breathe new life into it. Yeah.
That top lane got some momentum going. There's Chris Hudson in the 43 pushing help from from Rodney Campbell. And then we haven't talked about it here tonight. I wanted to give him a shout out. Pierre Robitaille, the 267 truck, that bright red truck on the inside lane with looks like a Christmas gift paper truck. But I like that paint scheme. It's unique. Nobody has one like it that I've seen on the iRacing surface. But right now, that outside lane, only 4 trucks strong. The other 14 are on the inside lane, and now one just peeks out back there. That's the 200 of Tim Collier. Now Brett Stevens comes out of line and tries to join the outside lane. That outside lane, though, getting a massive shove. Chris Hudson surging to second from the 62 truck of Rodney Campbell. Campbell up in the outside lane, pushing Mark Nister in the 05 up 3rd truck in line. On the bottom now, Kyle Smith leading this race. Dennis Crosby right behind him, drifts up the racetrack a little bit. Doug Betts as well gets to the back bumper. Now dead even at the line here between the 55 and 43. Kyle Smith leads another lap, but Hudson right there with him.
Yeah, you could see when the 3 wide situation happened, it made everybody nervous, and it really broke up the field during that moment. Everybody just kind of holding on for dear life as you see Kyle Smith jump up to the top side and block that top side, which I'm sure Dennis Crosby very, very happy to take.
It's going to stack him up there.
Yeah, he's got Doug Betts right on his bumper, so he's happy to see that happen. And but yeah, that 3 wide situation made everybody nervous. It kind of broke up the whole pack. And then now that they're back 2 wide, you could see them being really aggressive here, sort of like a snake all the way down the straightaways into the corner as you see the 62.
Oh, the 22 gets turned!
Dennis Crosby! Oh my goodness!
Up and over!
Massive wreck!
Oh my goodness, what a wreck! On the outside, though, it looks like no caution's going to come out, and that is going to be possibly the end of the 22's night.
Unbelievable. I must have been a bad push, but Dennis Crosby now out of this thing, but we stay green. We'll give you the picture-in-picture of maybe what happened between Dennis there off the corner. We'll give it to you right now as you'll see off the corner. I think it was just a bad push from Doug Betts. He gets there on that left rear, makes contact with the 55, and just all at once, and just a nasty wreck.
Man, what a hit.
As he demolishes that wall. So there goes my favorite. That's what I get for picking him.
Yeah. Unfortunate wreck there, and a hard hit and a race-ending hit for the 22 of Dennis Crosby. And I'll tell you what, I was just watching it there while that wreck was happening. The Real Craftsman Truck Series race just had an insane finish at Kansas. Almost a photo finish with a wreck in the middle of 3 and 4. And it looks like, I think Christian Eckes just won. Yeah, so Christian Eckes won.
All right, we don't want to give spoilers out on the broadcast.
If you're not watching. But, yeah, just so you know, the 19 truck may or may not have won, as so far the bottom lane is kind of single file until one truck just peeking up in line. and that is the 267 of Pierre Robitaille, help from Drew Litkia, and then Anthony James, Mark Neester as well, coming up to the outside, but just they're going to have to stack up there, and that's going to halt that inside line. And look at the guy trying to get those lats back. David Anderson, a little shuffling up at the front. Chris Hudson, Doug Betts, Miguel Colon up to the outside, who was the last caution. Now 50 laps to go, still a long way to go in this race. And so far, everybody so far, now Betts looking up to the outside. Haven't seen the 3 truck get the lead yet, but now Betts jumps up. Smith comes to cover. Oh, a big stack up on the outside. Maynard gets into the back end of the 3 very hard, but it just keeps the line going. Now Betts shuffles into second, right ahead of Chris Hudson. Almost gets turned, but they all save it. And now the bottom lane gets shuffled again. Betts up to second. And we've talked about how good of a truck Betts is. That 3 truck is a great pusher, and if you're Kyle Smith, I think you want to have him behind you.
Yeah, you're starting to see, you can really see the inexperience of plate tracks here as you just see how much weaving they're doing, trying to get onto the back bumper of somebody. I think that's why, Dennis Crosby and Doug Betts were going to be a dynamic duo. But even them, who were doing such a good job of working together, had an issue where they got on the left rear bumper and off the corner. That'll spin you out. So you're seeing a lot of inexperience here, but you see them trying different things, jumping out into different lines, trying to push, trying to do different things. This is the time. You think, well, if I drive from back to the front, what do I gain? I don't gain anything. What's the point of just, these races are so long. Well, you use this time to learn what works. Find who is good. Find who is a good pusher or who can be pushed. You're trying to find that partner that when it comes down to the white flag lap, you're hooked up with them and you've got the best opportunity to take the win.
Yeah, that's for sure. So far, I think we can all agree that 3 truck might be the best truck here you want to have behind you. Unfortunately, a little wobbling there unfortunately, I think.
I'm going to tell you, the 2 trucks that have really impressed me has been Kyle Smith and Chris Hudson. Kyle Smith, though, what impresses me about him is that he's been willing to make those moves, those aggressive moves. We've already seen him with some contact, but I think you're going to have to make moves. He's working both lines. He's really making, guys have to work around him. And I think towards the end of the race, aggression is going to be what wins the race. I don't think you can just kind of hang out. People will take advantage of you. And right now, Kyle Smith has shown he is willing to be aggressive to get up there and maintain the lead.
Yeah, no, Kyle Smith has definitely been the most aggressive when it comes to making moves and doing what he needs to do to get that track position. And they've worked so far. I mean, being in the lead right now, he's doing great. But right now, what's going to be interesting is we're coming up on the lap truck of Dennis Crosby.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out right here. They're catching up to him pretty quickly. We'll see. He's going to stay high.
Should help here.
Yeah, right off of turn 4. That's the best place for that to happen. As it looks like, an issue. It's on purpose, but it's because he didn't pit that first round. This is sort of the reason. Yeah, this is a tough deal right here. That's why he should have come down pit road because now he's pitting all by himself.
I don't know if they're going to be able to change the tires. There's a very just like he slid there. Doug Betts to the inside. I don't know if you can do that going under the inside of the yellow line. That's going to
really
shuffle it
checking
back.
Up the field.
That really checks up everybody else. Anderson gets shoveled to the middle. Now we got one guy going up on the apron. That's Betts. There's contact. Robitaille goes around. No, it's Kyle Smith hard up into the outside wall with Brett Stevens. And he gets nailed. No, Davis Braun gets caught up in it as well. Caution back out. But that could be the race over for the 24 and the 55.
Yeah, broadcaster curse right there. You see the 24 and I can't see who is that. Brett Stevens.
Brett Stevens.
Yeah, Brett
Stevens. Ton of damage.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Kyle Smith, he is done. That unless he can get that damage fixed. Brett Stevens, if he can get back to pit road and get into his stall, he will be able to get his fast repair. But unfortunately, Kyle Smith, if that damage is significant enough, he is going to be done for the night. But it doesn't look too bad. So maybe they'll be able to get some of that fixed up. We'll go back and look and see exactly what happened. You were kind of calling it as we'll take a look at the replay here. We'll be on board with Kyle there in that 55. And you'll see Robitaille on the top line. He gets loose and comes down and just door slaps the 55, and then Chris Hudson trying to avoid it. Oh, man, Brett Stevens with nowhere to go.
And, wow, Shabelski I think Braun might be fine. The one thing I'm worried about is his second hit with Stevens getting him in the right front tire might bend the toe in the suspension. And it all started with Betts going up under the yellow line. He backed out of it, which was good. But unfortunately, Robitaille gets loose in the entry. Oh, hard hit. Nowhere to go for Stevens, the 55, right up in his windshield. Braun might be fine, but that hit right there worries me just a little bit. And unfortunately, that's going to kill Dennis, that hurts a lot for Dennis Crosby. Jose Dolio also going to be a little bit in trouble there, but I think he might be able to get his lap back. But right here on board Doug Betts, he's the wreck ahead of him.
Yeah, interesting to see that saved him. I mean,
it really did.
Yeah, he had to go to the back, and that allowed him to be able to get woed up in time. So, I mean, you see there trying to get back on the track, and then the wreck happens. Yeah, I think definitely Pierre just got loose here.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I mean, you can see him, the bottom lane starts checking, that momentum starts rolling on the outside. Yeah, and then you can see that truck's wobbling just a little bit, and then on the entry of the corner, yeah, a little bit too much wheel. And 55's there, and the chain reaction begins. So Jose Dolio, oh no, wow, interesting. Couple guys staying out. Hudson.
Whoop.
Staying out on 16-lap old tires, and 16 laps of fuel already burned off.
Yeah, I don't like that call at all. Pretty much, track position can be important, but these trucks have plenty of ability to get up through the field. If you can come down and get fuel, we don't know the fuel run, but I'm pretty sure they're going to have to make at least another stop. So if everybody's got to make another stop, then I think this is a good call, and that may be the case. But we just saw we saw. Jose Dolio in that 36 have that issue. He's a lap down now because he had to come down pit road by himself, no help. So it's a dangerous game they're playing because the other guys can go so much longer. 16 laps is a long time around this track, and if they can go 16 laps more, that is a lot of opportunity for something to happen and a caution to come out and trap them a lap down.
Yes, most definitely. And we've seen, I think, the longest run of the night so far has been about about 17 laps, I think.
Yeah, it hasn't been. Yeah, it hasn't been very long. It's interesting to see Pierre Robitaille have that issue, getting loose into the corner. How many times at a super speedway have we seen a truck get loose? I think that's what's really cool about these open setups is that allows for that to happen. It's really cool to see. It's not cool for Kyle Smith, obviously, and Davis Braun, but it's cool to see guys have to think about handling. You have to pay attention to it, and that's something you rarely see at super speedways. So something to think about, guys up at the front. They obviously saw that. That's why I'd want to come down and get 4 tires every time. Or if my setup's a little bit loose, I might come down and make some wedge adjustment. Maybe a track bar adjustment.
Air pressure adjustment.
Yeah, something to kind of snug that truck up so that doesn't happen to me because very rarely do you see something like that.
Yes, indeed. It's really rare to see nobody else brought it in. So those top 3 going to be on 17 laps, at least of fuel, and if not anything else, 17 laps olds on the tires. So looking at everybody, Anthony James took 4 tires. Miguel Colon took some tires. Interesting to see here. And then Chris Hudson, he's only came into pit road once. So interesting to see, and I'm interested to see how long can he go. And especially being up at front, we talk about it. You're flat out here. You've burned a lot of fuel off of your truck and out of the tank. So how much is that going to hurt as well?
At this point, we're looking at just survival is going to be a main. We're not halfway. We'll take the green at halfway or 1 lap to halfway. And we already have, let me see, out of the 18 drivers, we have 1 that's already out, Rodney Campbell. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 18. Actually, 10 of the 18 drivers have already used their fast repair. And that's a lot. So it's you're gonna have to be careful here. Just need to ride, take it easy. Somebody that's been doing a lot of riding that's now up in the top of the race is Brian Zabelski, as we're getting ready to go green, but looks like
Yeah.
the pack is way back from the pace car. I was confused there for a moment. What was going on?
Hey, we're good now, but we'll see into the Geico restart zone. Drew Litkia leads him back to green. Green flag back out in the air. We're back underway to the World Center of Racing. Trucks pitting in the back of the field. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's Robitaille at Braun. They're pitting.
They had a penalty for sure. Yeah, they had a penalty that requires them to pit under green, so they waited and they were waiting to go down pit road.
They're still going now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but halfway down the backstretch, the outside lane, surging Mark Nister behind the 43 of Chris Hudson. Hudson gets to the lead, but that bottom lane, Tim Collier, Drew Litkia, going to start surging back into the entry of the corner. Now 5-6 trucks on the outside and about 10 trucks lined up on the inside lane. So far, this field very close, but a lot of trucks a lap down. So far, 3 trucks either one or more laps down, and then 1 truck in the pits with Kyle Smith, and which probably will dash his hopes of a championship and trying to pass the 87 of Miguel Colon in points. Almost a little contact there between Nister and Litkia, but as well Rodney Campbell in the garage and done for the night here so far. So 17 trucks, actually 16 trucks on the racetrack, 17 trucks including the 55 who is still in the pits, multiple laps down so far. But this inside lane now even 3 and 3 so far, at least tucked up underneath each other here. How about Anthony James? Still seems to be a factor in this race, hasn't gone away from that front.
Yeah, right now, though, it seems like Chris Hudson is the only guy left that I felt like had a sort of a race-winning, strategy and ability. But, it's hard to say because you haven't seen guys really have to really push that much. You've got guys running back here. You've got David Anderson and Brett Stevens back here running sort of in a tandem away from the pack, just trying to stay away from the mess. And you got Jack Clark, who we haven't mentioned his name at all, so he's been back there just riding, trying to wait on everything to kind of settle out. Just stay with the draft and be there at the end. I think that's the biggest thing. But we've seen just a lot of aggression. We see these big pushes right here Drew Litkia is doing, but what are you accomplishing? And I'm being critical here, but only sort of as a devil's advocate for, being critical. Yeah, you want to push your line out, but you don't really have anybody coming on the top side just yet. The top side is not really organized, so why push so hard here with just over halfway?
And we talk about it as well. These guys have not pitted in 20 laps. Everybody behind them has. These guys haven't. And how is their fuel situation looking? Because they're going to have to pit soon. Maybe you're talking 8, 9, 10 laps at the most. Chris Hudson, you're going to have to pit in 8 laps because you're leading this pack. You're flat out. Everybody behind you can, kind of save a little bit of fuel, but not a lot. And it makes me think you got to pit soon. I don't know why they didn't pit before or when the caution came out. They were both up there. So it's interesting to see here as Mark Nister mounting a charge on the outside lane. Really not a lot of help, but he'll start having some help here. With the top 3 going to have to pit, I think if you're a lap truck, you might want to take your opportunity to get and lead this field just in case the caution comes out.
Yeah, there's going to be some communication that needs to be said. Luckily, as Mark Nister gets a nice push up to the top side, he's going to go out front there for just a second. Going to fall back a little bit as Anthony James comes off his bumper, but that top line is really organized now as you see Dennis Crosby, who is 2 laps down, but he's up there trying to do, like you said, working with Doug Betts, trying to get back on the lead lap. You see here he is leading that charge up through the field. In 15th position, but he's 2 laps down. So he's trying to do it the hard way. But that's going to change. That's going to make this really interesting with all the lap trucks that are going to be inside, especially fast guys. They're going to be in this pack, and it's going to make it interesting, especially if we get down towards the end of this thing.
Yeah, the 216 almost spun the 05 on the entry of the corner. It was very, very tight, but so far everybody keeps it going once again. That inside lane of Chris Hudson continuing to lead this race, but we know they're on a much different fuel strategy. Mark Nister going to be the first truck that has already brought it in 7 laps, where the top 3 on the inside lane, 3, the 43, the 21, and the 200 have not pitted in 23 laps. So they're going to have to pit what I would have to guess, very soon unless a caution comes out. But then the worry is they don't want to be the caution as well.
Yeah, they're going to have to be communicating, like I said, and call it out, work together. You definitely want to come in with all three of those drivers. That way you have the best chance of staying on the lead lap. I mean, it's going to be close, and they're going to be in trouble. So they really need a caution. I think even if they come out together, they probably still go a lap down. So you're going to be telling them, hey, make sure that you have your tires unchecked, make sure you have fuel only, because we got to get on the pit road, get off, get together, and get going. So going to be communication going to have to be having there to get all that done and stay in this thing.
Yes, 100% is going to have to be the deal here. And so far, like I said, no real movement here. Now the lap truck trying to get his lap back. Remember, no lucky dog, so you got to race it the old style, the old-fashioned way. 36 of Jose Dolio. And contact there with the 05 and Mister. Wow,
he got way out of shape. That was incredible by him to save that truck, but my goodness.
That could have been the rest of the field caught up in that one, especially being so close up at the front. Betts now poking his head in the mix as well, the 3 truck. And how about Alex Maynard as well? I haven't really talked about him a ton tonight. He's been in this pack really all this entire race, and now he's starting to work his way up to the front. Only 13 trucks on the lead lap, so still possible. Ooh, a lot of shuffling there from the inside and the outside. Toplane has to give some room to the inside. And I'm noticing this racing, it's calming down, but it's going to get a really aggressive once we get to the closing last 20 laps. Again, everybody's going to have to make a pit stop. The top 3 on the inside lane are going to have to make probably 2 pit stops.
Yeah, looking back here at Ryan Zabelski, we haven't talked about him much, haven't even put him on screen, but you see why. He is just hanging out. He's trying to just maintain that draft, maintain his distance, and stay in this thing. Currently, right now, he's running in 9th. And he still has his fast repair, so that's a big deal. So his strategy is working out pretty good as long as you stay in the draft, and he's just electing to do the safe strategy where he doesn't get up there in the mix for no reason. It's a double-edged sword as you're back. Oh, my goodness, contact.
This is going to be a big wreck. Oh, that's the field. The rest of the field caught up in this one. A massive incident. Nister is in it. Litke is in it. James is in it. More trucks sliding around. I believe Betts just missed it, but another big wreck up at the front, and it involves 2 of the trucks that had stayed out on older tires. You got another truck around. Brett Stevens, who was staying at the back, gets caught up in it still.
Well, I mean, they definitely can come down pit road now.
They definitely can. That's for sure. But let's, Kira's got to take a look at what happened there. It looked like another one of those classic stack-ups. Again, we'll get to these with 2 instant replay. You got the outside lane. Blitke had just drifted up into the 36 of Jose, and then you see up in front of Collier, Nister really nowhere to go, gets clipped, and then James has nowhere to go into the front of the 21. And then I'm curious where Brett Stevens just lost it on the apron there on the transition. That's a shame. Luckily, nothing too bad there for the 86, but that's one of those Daytona moments where you have the wreck miss, you get on the transition run from the bank into the apron, and nowhere to go there.
Yeah, the 05 and the 85 trying to avoid it, just gets on the gas and gets around.
He's good.
Nope. Feel good about that one. You'll take that 2X.
Luckily doesn't get stuck on the banking transition, but yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about it. Drew Litka, being aggressive, and just a little over halfway. How aggressive did you need to be? And so you just kind of wonder if he probably kind of regrets, being as aggressive as he was. You see him just drift up there, and the 36 was down tight, but yeah.
Yeah, and it makes you think as the back bumper goes right off of the 05. How many of these guys had already taken their fast repair and now are going to have to get all that damage fixed? If you're the 216 and James and you haven't taken your fast repair, you're in trouble.
Yeah, we'll see how that all shakes out.
It's interesting to see. Look at who stayed out. Jose Dolio stays out. Crosby and Anderson trying to get back to 1 lap down here. And those 3 are going to stay out. It's going to be a big factor in this race is Doug Betts won the race off of pit road. Then it goes Hudson, Maynard, Collier, Cologne, Stevens, James, Shabelski, Meester, and then Braun. And that I will point out as well, that caution saved the two trucks that had penalties in pit road. Pierre Robitaille and Davis Braun get saved out of that. Looks like Drew Lidke is getting damage fixed. Jack Clark in the pits as well. So now we'll have back to 14 trucks on the lead lap, which will be 30 laps to go. And I would assume 30 laps is going to be right on the cusp of the fuel window, but they should be able to make it. With the way this has been going, I don't think we're going to get 30 laps green.
Yeah, 2 more fast repairs used in that little scuffle as we've got. I mean, there's only a handful of drivers. Doug Betts, Chris Hudson, Alex Maynard, your top 3. They still have their fast repair. Brian Zabelski has his. Mark Nister still has his. I'm really not sure how, as he was involved in that incident. But it looked like he got about 30 seconds of damage repair may have been enough. And then Jack Clark, who we've seen just kind of taking it easy, he still has his fast repair. So and you could see it's just race. Yeah, it's been a wild
Clark will
race.
Be a factor, especially with how easy he's been taking it. If the way
the way we're going, Jack Clark may just be by himself on the last lap and cross the line. So.
And we've seen it at Daytona and Talladega many times where it comes down to maybe 7-8 trucks at the end. Or even, I don't know if you remember 2019, I think, in one of the Truck Series races, there was like 20 trucks left, and with 2 laps to go, I want to say it was like Scott Lagacy or one of those guys. Oh, no, I think it was, Spencer Boyd decided to take it 3 wide for the lead. He got turned in front of everybody, and it took out literally all the 20 trucks that were in the pack. There was only like 2 trucks that missed it. It was Austin Hill and I think Matt Crafton, who'd already been involved in like another wreck. So pretty much everybody at the end, there were like 8 trucks on the racetrack, and it came down to those 8 trucks, and Austin Hill was the only clean truck, and he just pulled away from everybody at Daytona. But it could very well come down to one of those situations. I think another example of that as well is the Coke 0400 of 2022. Were a 23-car wreck at the before rain came, and then it was up to Austin Dillon holding off cars that were very underfunded with no speed.
Yeah, well, back at this race, Jose DeLeo able to get himself back on the lead lap.
Big.
Now he will have 15 laps on fuel, so he's going to be in a similar scenario. Don't think they can make it all the way. And I'm not sure if everybody can, so it may be okay. But Dennis Crosby and David Anderson able to get one of their laps back. So I expect to see Dennis Crosby and David Anderson be very, very aggressive here. I mean, they don't have any choice. If they're going to get back in this thing, they have to get up there and race.
Got to race through a lap back.
They've got to get up there and get that wave around again. So it's going to be tough for them, but I mean, they've done a great job so far. So it's definitely possible. We've had plenty of cautions.
It's no easy task. I can tell you that 100%. It is absolutely no easy task. Having to do it, I've seen guys do it in the Firecracker 400. Absolutely terrible because it's so nerve-wracking because you got to stay ahead of the guys that are leading, and then you have really hope you don't get caught up in the wreck as Pace Truck is pulled off. Doug Betts, Chris Hudson lead him back to green. Maynard gets a good start, but this pack really jumbled up. Betts gets away, but he missed a shift, and unfortunately that's going to allow Maynard and Chris Hudson no help on the outside. Hudson now pulling even with it, but no help on the outside for Hudson. Then it's up to Shabelski, Collier, and then you got Clark, Stevens, Robitaille, Braun, and Cologne, your top 10. Now shuffled up, this pack will start getting more clustered and getting a little bit more back together here as they go back to
yeah, I'm out of here.
He's seen enough already. Shabelski as well, dropping down to the back. Now the 36 of Dolio, Jose Dolio, took the wave around. Now he's back in this fight. Mark Nister with a little bit of damage back up in the pack as well. James comes down. Betts has the lead to the outside. Chris Hudson, Pierre Robitaille, the 3rd truck in line. Tim Collier, the 2nd truck in line. Now more trucks starting to fan up back to the outside lane. At the line, Doug Betts leads the lap, help from Alex Maynard in the 243.
Yeah, Chris Hudson with some help behind trying to get that truck out to the front. That top line has been sort of neutered tonight. Just hasn't been able to get enough trucks up there that can work together. But the 200 of Tim Collier and the 267 of Pierre Robitaille really kind of tight there on the top side. And you see a couple guys on the bottom just kind of backed off. Davis Braun
Davis
We saw him in a wreck. Lose, his whole back bumper was ripped off. Has his fast repair taken, and a little bit of Alex Mater and Doug Betts sort of doing some mirror driving there and getting down on the apron. That could be a little bit nerve wracking. So the bottom is a little bit nervous. So Chris Hudson trying to keep that top line with just 3 trucks in it moving forward. They got a lap truck. Yep. They're about to cross over right here. Drew Litka.
Yeah, Litka is going to have to, unfortunately, get lapped. Still a ton of damage on that 21 Hope Chevrolet Camaro. That truck, or Chevrolet Silverado getting lapped, but he should be able to catch onto the draft. He's got to get in line quick behind Jack Clark, but that unfortunately is going to cost Litka the draft again, and hopefully not another lap. Now 3 trucks, 1 lap down. 13 trucks on the lead lap. Kyle Smith still in the pits currently. At the front, though, Doug Betts, Chris Hudson just jumped up, Chris Hudson's leading the outside line still. Betts hasn't jumped up yet. Maynard gets into the back bumper of Betts. Oh, Maynard drifts up the racetrack, has to back out of it. This should allow the top lane to surge. Hudson's going to get the lead.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Jose DeLeo goes up into the wall as he tries to avoid the checkup. And somebody who was a lap down, who was able to get his lap back now on the lead lap, is now back up to the front trying to make some move. I'm watching that 36 truck. I'm going to keep an eye on him. I don't know who's going to win this race, but he's showing he's got the ability to move up through the pack. So,
Anthony James up the middle.
We've seen this not work. Oh, my goodness. There's not enough room. There's not enough room for this.
Oh, James is loose in the middle, but he makes it stick. Has to allow Pierre Robitaille to pass out of it. Now Hunter tries to come down. Not enough. Not enough room. They'll stack up and they'll get close to each other. Look at this. Anthony James. A power move up to the middle, up to second. No help. Look at the 36. Jose DeLeo
he saw
up
it
to the middle.
Oh, they're going to make contact here. Oh, there's no way. Oh, Alex Mater.
Maynard locks the brakes. Oh, and Davis Braun head onto the outside wall. A big wreck already once again. Oh, David Anderson drills the 24.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, we saw that
raced over Pierre Robitaille up against the outside safer barrier in 1 and 2. He's still up there. A multi-truck incident once again here at Daytona, and possibly a race ender for Davis Braun and Pierre Robitaille. The right front suspension destroyed on the 267.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, with that move from James. It got him the lead.
There was just too much going on there, and you just kind of felt it coming. It's been like that all night long. And Anthony James, I mean, just being aggressive, and then Jose was like, I can do that too. Look at that big run. He got up through the middle. They just start coming together. And Anthony James, Betts goes up in front of James.
Right there.
Betts comes up in front of James, and I think, James was trying to make a quick move to get to the inside. We'll go back and check that one more time. You'll see Betts. No, he actually hit the apron a little bit.
Yeah, and Maynard got the run, tried to go high. James goes down and just doors him.
Yeah,
and then
Anthony James is like, excuse me, and just boots out.
He's got an intimidator mode going on right now. I'll tell you what. Look here. I want to get maybe like an aerial view of this as well. You'll get to see what happened between the 36-24. 36 had a massive run. Saw what the 216 did, and I respect that. And then right here, Braun really nowhere to go. Just gets right hooked and head under the wall, and then nowhere for Pierre Robitaille to go. And then here, David Anderson drills the 24, and that is going to punch a big old hole in the nose of the 78 truck. Yeah, there was a lot going on in that little sequence there. Now on board with David Anderson in the 78 Longhorn Chevy Silverado there, but just really nowhere to go there.
Yeah, everybody doing a good job right there, and just there's just nothing you can do with those speeds, even if you're slowing down.
There's so much happening.
Yeah, you can't stop these trucks on a dime, and so trying to stop there with a car coming rolling down that big banking, that really steep banking, there's really just not much you can do.
Yeah, there really isn't. Unfortunately, that's going to cost them. I'm curious to see if Crosby and any of them can get their laps back still with 24 laps to go. Anthony James, your leader. Doug Betts, Chris Hudson, Tim Collier, Brian Shabelsky, top 5. Then goes Stevens, Cologne, Maynard, Nister, and Dolio. Your top 10 here so far. And want to Also, point out here tonight, and let's go into while we're under caution, our sponsors for tonight. And all this is not possible without them. Let's go to IRTES, the official flagship of multi-class sports car racing series, with great sponsors, prizes, and top-level esports competition. Champion Circle as well, a premium membership to the VIP subscription to get you great perks and special benefits, as well as Storm Gang Simulation, in-house top-level modding group for R Factor 2. And being a member of Champions Motorsports, you get exclusive opportunities to enjoy and race their content. And like we said, it wouldn't be possible without any of them. And man, always got to thank the sponsors as well. Appreciate Adam Baker keeping V-Speed running as well. And I believe the Below the Double Yellow Racing League, also another sponsor. They just finished up with their clash at the Bumpy Daytona in the next gen cars last week at Bumpy Daytona for the clash to open up the season, won by Adam Cabot. A lot of the agenda for V-Speed lately. I know the VRX Cup, VRX Cup Truck Series. They just ended. Congrats to Philip Brewer, who won the championship in that series. Dominating performance of 7 of 8 wins. Max Verstappen stats, if you so will, in a Truck Series. 7 for 8. What is that? Man, it's like a 96% winning percentage. That's not too bad. Actually, 93, I think, 92 point something. But yeah, he put on a clinic that week.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot of going.
BSRN is going to be running 6 days next week.
Woo.
I mean, we got a race on Sunday in the Rebels Truck Series, on Monday night in the Bluegrass Truck Series, Tuesday night in the Bluegrass Xfinity Series, Wednesday on the Goat Locker Next Gen Series, Thursday the championship race in the Apex E-Series Showdown, and then Fridays in the Rebels ARCA Series. So we're going to be a
lot of broadcasting.
V-Speed is rocking and rolling right now. But here in this race, just to kind of bring it back down, I mean, Anthony James, sort of where that wreck started, but he's a beneficiary. But you just wonder of all the people that are left that didn't get involved in that wreck, how much help is he going to have at the end of this race being aggressive like he was? Will he have somebody to work with him, or will they, kind of go, you kind of make me nervous and whatnot? So he's got the lead, but will he be able to hold it? I mean, he was able to drive up there by himself, which was really impressive, but does he have anybody to work with? It seems like he's been kind of left out to dry a couple times, and then there caused that wreck right there. So we'll see if anybody's willing to work with him, but he might find himself 3 wide again here on this restart.
Yeah, he has made a lot of enemies tonight. He's caused a couple incidents, but I think he's obviously, we've seen, other than maybe Kyle Smith, has been the most aggressive, and he's going to be willing to make moves happen. I don't know if we'll see throwing blocks, but when the time comes to getting a win, especially at Daytona, you're going to see some aggressive moves. And as the great Ken Squire once said, desperate men will make desperate moves to get anything they can out of these race trucks here. As the pace truck will pull off into pit road, will set us up for 21 laps to go in the Draft Meet 200 at Daytona. Into the Geico restart zone they go. Anthony James, Doug Betts lead us back to green. We're back underway from the World Center of Racing. Bottom lane gets going, and it has to help Hudson all over the back bumper of James. They fan out behind. Betts all by himself, left on an island on his own. Collier down to the inside with Shabelski. Cologne now pushing help, drafting help from Dennis Crosby. Gets to the back bumper of Doug Betts.
Yeah, that top side did not get a great start, but it will get moving forward as now Hudson will move up to the outside along with Tim Collier, and there Anthony James is all along
look
on
at
the
Doug
bottom.
Betts.
And 3 wide, Doug Betts.
Doug Betts, nothing to lose. Here up to the outside, Collier hung in the middle. Now Hudson goes down to the inside in front of James. James drifts up, contact for second, 3 wide for second. Collier still hung in the middle. The outside lane, Anthony James doors the 200. James gonna have to keep it down on the bottom. Now Chris Hudson just leads the lap. Collier still up in the middle. James on the bottom. Cologne, the championship leader now, goes 3 wide for the lead. James back up into the
go.
three. There's
Here we go.
contact between Betts. They save it. Hudson holds on. They get back too wide down the backstretch.
Well, these boys are racing. I love to see it. It's scary. I mean, it's pucker butt.
Betts up the middle. Betts up the middle. Contact for the lead. Now James up to the inside lane. Last 20 laps to go. It's going to get exciting. It's going to get wild here.
They are making all kinds of moves that I just can't believe. I mean, blocking from Chris Hudson, moving up down 2 lanes at a time just to maintain that lead on the top side, and they are making contact, but so far been able to hold on to it as now that top side able to clear, and oh my goodness, Miguel Colon clears right across the bumper of Anthony James, so all 3 trucks able to drop down to that bottom line.
Oh, Betts.
Yeah, Betts
back up to the outside.
Yeah, he's got help coming from Dennis Crosby, his teammate. Now
Cologne
Miguel Colon's going to slide up in there.
They leave Hudson to drive.
They have 0 patience of sitting in line. They are ready to go. You see them moving different lines almost every lap. And right now, Doug Betts, though, with the big push from Miguel Colon and Dennis Crosby on that outside. Will they stay up there? Will they drop down? Chris Hudson, oh my goodness.
Woo! There almost contact between the second and third place trucks. Crosby, you got to remember, a lap down, trying to get his lap back, pushing the championship leader of Miguel Colon, the 87 truck. He got in 1 wreck earlier, but he's back. He's up into second, trying to get the lead away from Doug Betts. Help from Dennis Crosby, the lap truck. Mark Nister in the 05 to the outside. Collier Maynard now closing up to the back of the inside lane. Betts still holds the lead. Hudson now clear of the 87. Does Hudson try to do the switcheroo? No, he doesn't. Stays in line, stays loyal to the back bumper of the 3. Now back stretch, 3 trucks outside, 9 trucks inside.
Yeah, this is just ramping up.
Stacking.
It's just so much going on here. Everybody's making all kinds of moves trying to make this happen, and Doug Betts gonna drop down in front of Chris Hudson, has the lead. Well, he's already been there for a while. But he's trying to work both lanes. Anthony James gets really close. Anthony James has got that magnetic disease where he's on the bottom, but he just gets attached to the car that's on the outside of him. Now he's going to look maybe to go 3 wide. Let's go on board with Anthony James and see what it looks like from his point of view. He may be just trying to peek out and see if there's enough room he can go 3 wide by himself.
Yeah, he is. Hasn't been enough room. Chris
Hudson's
had enough. Hudson pulls out. Crosby now back down, pushing the 87. Look at Alex Maynard to the end of the 243. Goes right up through the middle and gets by right at the gut, as they would say in football. But man, what a move from the 243. Now Crosby ditches the 87. Crosby trying to get that lap back. James now up to second, pushing the 3 of Betts. How about Jack Clark in the 297? He's been playing it safe all night. He's starting to get himself up to the front using that Denny Hamlin strategy. Now everybody back down, calming down a little bit. But James looks to the outside, getting some air to the nose. Not going to be enough. He'll tuck back in line. Here comes Colon up to by himself. No help now. Now there's help from Mark Nister down the backstretch.
Yeah, right now, Anthony James doing a good job of pushing the 3, but I can see that 22. He is not going to hang out right here. He's got to get up there and get ahead of this group. So I expect to see him pull out when he feels like it's a good opportunity to do so, as it looks like Alex Maynard thought about going. We'll see what Dennis Crosby does. Is if he can get out front and get his lap back, I mean, he is still a threat to win this race. So, I think Doug Betts and him are working together with these
Crosby's
other drivers.
Get up.
Yeah, he's kind of flirting
he made
with
that move too late.
We'll see if Alex Maynard is going to give him the space to get back down on the bottom, but that run from the top side as they kind of get broke off a little bit. That top of Anthony James leans and gets that magnet going to that 87, leans up against him as they come off of turn 2, but that top line is rolling with just those 2 trucks. If they can stay close, Anthony James having a hard time staying to the back bumper of Doug Betts, and that's really letting that top side get a really big run.
And who said these boys couldn't super speedway race as they come across the line this time by? There'll be 15 laps to go. James washes up the racetrack almost into the side of Miguel Colon. It just makes you think there is trouble a brewing. Now to the outside, pushing Mark Nister on board with him, pushing Colon Cologne up to the lead now, at least dead even, a dead heat to the line. Cologne gets the nod for the lap led. On the inside, it's Betts. Nister pushing the 87 of Cologne. Here comes the 197 of Jack Clark. Like we said, he played it safe all night. He's in the mix. The top 6 are under a blanket of 7 trucks. The one truck not on the lead lap, Dennis Crosby, is that third truck, the number 22, white and blue Ford F-150 on the inside lane. Dennis Anderson is the other truck a lap down. He's the last truck in this lead pack. Betts surging back ahead. James wiggles a little bit. They'll keep it gathered. Crosby backs out of it. This is going to hurt the momentum of the inside lane. Now Cologne up to the outside again.
Anthony James takes 2 wheels and puts them under the apron. Now he's up under it again. He's in trouble as he gets it wrapped back up. But yeah, got to be careful with that apron, especially on the front stretch in that tri-oval. It can be scary. It can grab you and shoot you up the track as you try to get back up on the racing surface. But right now, I mean, that top line is pretty strong, just not strong enough to get out towards get at least Miguel
They're going to get
clear.
at least 1 or 2 of them clear. Cologne will probably get back down to the inside. It's going to be a question if Nister or Clark can clear. I don't think all 3 of them will. The bottom lane stacked up, 4 trucks apiece pushing down into turn number 3. Betts gets back to the lead. Anthony James fighting for his life on the inside lane. Cologne now dead even for second. James slides up the racetrack. Now the second half of this pack is starting to close up. You got the 43 of Hudson, who you could argue might be the best truck of the night. Now James slides up the racetrack, almost makes contact with the 05, the bottom lane, cutting that shorter distance around the track. Once again, surges ahead the inside lane with Doug Betts leading it in the number 3 truck. The outside, Miguel Cologne, the points leader in this series, a points lead of 55. His nearest competitor out of this race, or if not out of contention, 20 laps down, Kyle Smith, who's still on the racetrack now. But right now, still 3 rows of side by side. The top 2 are clear. Does Anthony James try to jump up off of turn 4 and get the lead away from Doug Betts?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a pendulum swing, and there he goes to the outside.
Oh, it's going to be tight.
And Miguel Cologne not interested, but Anthony going to try to squeeze him, hoping that he would lift. And now that Anthony James is going to get left out to dry here in the middle. And we've seen this a couple times. How is it going to play out? Anthony James has been pretty. Oh, but no!
Oh, the 5 of Nister's in the wall. This is going to split up the pack. Nister's still up in the outside wall. They get it all sorted. But that top lane is going to get its momentum hurt. Now Betts leading, but look at who's behind him. It's Dennis Crosby. He's needing to get by Betts to get that lap back.
Yeah, that worked out perfectly. I think, they obviously are working together, and I think if somebody spins, I wonder if Betts doesn't pull out of the way and try to let Dennis get up there.
Crosby's just got to get the lead of this pack here. Here comes Cologne to the outside. Now pulls even with Maynard in the 243 for second. But remember, Crosby is 1 lap down. They're coming to 11 laps to go now, 10 laps to go.
Look at Anthony James going to the outside.
James to the outside.
This guy is coming to race and have a good time. Yes. He ain't playing around, and he is going to take every run that he gets. Patience is not something that he has. And I tell you what, with 10 laps to go, I wouldn't have much patience either. I'm trying to win this race. Anthony James has shown a lot of speed and a lot of aggression to make moves that you need to make, and jumps down to the bottom. Yeah, just says no to Cologne. Oh, then he says yes. He can't decide where he wants to be.
And remember, caution flag most likely with 4 laps to go will end this race under caution or no green-white checkers. Cologne up to the outside. Help from Anthony James. 10 laps to go from the World Center of Racing. The 87 truck, Miguel Cologne, gets the lead. Anthony James goes low. Fake slow. He won't do it, but now he'll tuck in line with the 87. Betts now pushing the 216. Hudson, Collier now fake down. James to the inside. Cologne goes to cover. James gets shuffled. Betts the second. Crosby moved out of line by Maynard. There's contact between James and Maynard. Now James in the grass and shuffled out of the pack.
Yeah, that was, my goodness, another great job by the whole field to not cause a wreck there, as I thought for sure that was going to, because Anthony James was really trying to make sure that he could get back up on the track. but not quite able to do it. We'll show what happened here on the picture-in-picture as we watch this ending. But you see James kind of goes down on the apron, trying to avoid maybe Miguel Colon, gets a little bit loose, and he just can't get back up. Once you go down there, you see Alex Maynard said, nope, you're not coming up. He just pushed him down in the grass. So.
And how about this? Chris Hudson, he went to the back of the pack. He's now found his way, leading the outside lane. Help from Tim Collier in the 200. The inside lane has Cologne, Betts, Crosby, Maynard, and Mr. Shabelski also inserting himself into the picture in the 7th place position, excuse me. Now, behind them is David Anderson fighting for his lap back. Right now, looking at everything that's going on the outside lane, just not enough, and it also makes you wonder, when does Crosby know that he can't get the lap back, and when does he pull out of line? You see David Anderson is letting these guys race. We're coming to 7 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, and somebody that we need to be talking about and thinking about is that 85 of Brian Shabelski. He has been hiding back in the back this whole time, and 05 gets a big push from Alex Maynard, gets slammed by the 05.
It's going to hurt the inside's momentum. Now Hudson is going to have a big push from Collier. There's still 3 wide for 7. Oh, Shabelski! Contact between Maynard. Nister is loose. What a save from both of them. But now there's 2 trucks side by side ahead of this pack. The lap trucks of, is that Dolio and Smith? Hudson's going to have to thread the needle. There's contact between him and Collier.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That, I don't know, should be happening here, but there's 6 laps to go. They all save it. We're back, still keeping it clean and green.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating, and to see lap trucks be running 2 different lines as the pack's coming, that's just a recipe for disaster. But kudos to this lead lap group for avoiding that mistake. I mean, that could have been disaster. So good job by those drivers. But I can't tell you, Chris Hudson has been the guy all night long that we've seen up front. But David Anderson, yeah, he's still 1 lap down, so he's trying to get that lap back. But Miguel Colon has shown a lot of speed and a lot of ability. It's really hard to say who's going to come away with this thing.
It is, and laps are clicking off. If a caution comes out now, Anderson needs to get ahead, but Hudson goes to get rid of him. Anderson shuffled back out to the outside lane. Now it comes Chris Hudson, Tim Collier, then Shabelski, the 3 lap trucks now of Smith, Dolio, and then Anderson. Shabelski goes high, Smith to the inside. Then behind them, about a second back, it's Mark Nister and Jack Clark, the 297 and the 05. Still about a second to go, but they've got the draft of this lead pack coming to 5 laps to go. A caution comes out. It'll make it to a 1-lap shootout. Once they cross the line the next time by, the race will be official, caution, or checkered under green flag conditions. Hudson pushing, getting pushed from Tim Collier. Hudson now goes even with Miguel Colon, the championship leader. Betts, the best pusher all night, behind the 87 of Colon. Crosby, 3rd truck on the inside, 1 lap down. The 4th truck on the inside lane is Kyle Smith, 20 laps down. Mark Nister and Jack Clark are there. That's 6th and 7th in this pack. Also, Alex Maynard is still a part of this lead pack. 8 trucks in the lead lap, on the lead lap, in the front pack, 11 in total. Shifting in the middle of the corner, 1 lap truck ahead of these guys, and that will be interesting to see. Hudson surging ahead. It's Anthony James getting lapped. James gets put a lap down. Now Hudson gets to the lead. Help from Collier. Collier looks high. Now back to the bumper. Looks low. Cologne now surges to the lead. 5 to go at Daytona.
Just incredible that they have you see all the patience has worked out for some drivers who are up there like Shabelski and others, and Miguel Colon has shown some really good patience up front. I mean, there's so many lap trucks in the mix here. Only 8 are actually on the lead lap out of this whole group, and oh my goodness, Jack Clark's going through the grass.
Clark in the infield. Clark up in the infield. He's still in the infield. He's coming back up the racetrack. No caution. They keep it green, but it shuffles the pack once again.
Yeah, I think it was a bad push by Alex Maynard. We'll take a look at it on the picture-in-picture real quick. Won't take too much time, but you're going to see a push as the bottom line is going to stack up at the end of the backstretch. and that little bump sends Jack Clark through the grass.
Oh, contact there, almost in the middle of the pack between Shabelski and Smith. The top 4 are the top 2 in the front of each line. Hudson on the outside, Collier with help from Collier in the 200. Betts on the inside pushing the 87 of Cologne, the championship leader, coming to 2 laps to go from the World Center of Racing. If you're the lap trucks now, I think you get out of the way. There's no point. Your race is over. Coming to 2 laps to go. Smith on the inside in the 55, onto the apron. Shabelski now up on the outside lane. Nister, Maynard. Maynard gets hit from the corner for the 05. That shuffles the inside line. 2 laps to go. Race is official. If a caution comes out, this race will end. Now Hudson back to the outside, has the lead in the timing zone. Now to the inside, a surge from the 87, but the 3 car gets disconnected. This should allow the outside lane to surge back.
Outside's coming. Outside's coming.
And here comes Shabelski. Shabelski on the outside. He's got help from the lap truck of Anderson. There's nowhere to go. He'll have to tuck back in line. Now we're coming to the white flag. The outside, Chris Hudson, the STP car. Can he get the lead? Can he get the win? Now the championship leader back down to the inside, coming to the white flag. But the 85 gets turned. Caution's going to come out. Chris Hudson's ahead, and the race is going to end.
Oh, my goodness. Shabelski, who had been riding that whole time, is
with David Anderson as well.
Yeah, it gets turned there right at the start-finish line to take the white flag, but Chris Hudson maintains the lead there on that last lap and was able to get the win. Wow. I hate that it ended like that.
It ends with a caution.
Yeah, I hate that.
Chris Hudson gets that first win. We got the... Do we have, I must ask, do we have the Chris Hudson cam?
We absolutely do.
How about that for Chris Hudson? Gonna get that first win. The smile from the driver of the 43 STP Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. We talked about him. Those colors so iconic. Richard Petty getting that final 200th win in his career here in the year 1980. Was it 1984? Yeah, you know, we'll have to check back on that. But Chris Hudson,
me on that one.
Yeah, I don't know if I got that one, but let me tell you, what a race we saw here tonight from the World Center of Racing. That, my friends, had us on the edge of our seat. I wish we'd have got the white flag and see what could have happened there, but man, that was some great racing from start to finish.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chris Hudson showed strength all race long, able to keep that truck clean. Didn't ever need to use his fast repair and was there at the end on that top line. And is going to take the checkered flag here.
Clean all night. Caution checkered waving. Chris Hudson is the winner here tonight from the Draft Meet 200 at Daytona. Top 3 is Dennis Crosby pulls into the infield grass. But your top 3, Chris Hudson, Miguel Colon, and Tim Collier. Your top 3 tonight, but how about that win for the 43 truck, Chris Hudson? Gonna burn him down here at the World Center of Racing. Man, what a race we were treated to tonight. It seemed who may have had the best truck all night. Comes home, leads 16 laps, starts 3rd, and gets his first career win in the Champions Motorsports Truck Series. And it only makes you wonder next week or in 2 weeks when we go to Richmond Raceway what can happen for the championship. But it, to me, thinks that Miguel Colon has it all but locked up and could be the champion of the inaugural season. Let's take a look back at what happened to bring out the final caution here tonight from Daytona. 2 laps to go. You're on board with the Longhorn Racing truck of David Anderson. In front of him, you got Brian Shabelski. The top lane starting to surge from a little bit of a checkup on the inside lane. They go into turns number 3, and now in the middle of turns 3 and then off of turn 4, they're pushing hard. They're going for a broke here. Just gets into the corner panel wrong there, spins him around, and then the wreck is on, and it gets triggered. Caution comes out. 43 of Chris Hudson's ahead, and right there the race ends. Mark Nister caught up in it as well. Dennis Crosby got a piece of it as well. A 4-truck incident to end the night here from Daytona. Man, what great racing here from the World Center of Racing. Top 3 interviews will be coming up very shortly. Let's take a look at our race recap. 6 cautions, 25 lead changes, man. I don't know. You said these boys couldn't super speedway race. That was some great racing all around.
Yeah, Chris Hudson and Miguel Colon and Tim Collier, who we really didn't talk too much about all race long, but they're
No.
just kind of locked to the bumper of that 43, and that paid dividends, and he takes the last podium position. Doug Betts, I'm sure he's disappointed because I think he had just an incredible race up front, pushing, being pushed, able to do a lot of really good things up at the front of the pack. Going to come home in fourth, though. It's a great finish. Mark Nister going to come home with that fifth place finish. Alex Maynard able to kind of avoid some disaster there at the end of the race and come home in sixth as he was able to save that truck. Brian Zabelski, man, stay out of the issue all race long, and there at the end, he was that last incident, and he comes home in seventh. But, I mean, all the things he did at the beginning of the race, I mean, he was able to get wrecked at the start-finish line and still finish in seventh. So, I mean, his strategy worked out great for him as he was able to avoid all the other issues and still come home seventh, even though he was backwards. Jack Clark did a great job as well. We saw him go through the grass with contact. And then Dennis Crosby, what a great recovery for him. Come back and finish ninth, the first car on the lead lap, and Jose DeLeo as well, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and then 11th, Anthony James, who we could argue was the most aggressive driver all night, made moves. Unfortunately, got caught up in a checkup, got forced to the infield, and then no caution came out to save him. But he'll come home 11th. David Anderson, disappointing night, unfortunately for the boss man, comes home 12th. Drew Litkia caught up in an incident 13th. Kyle Smith also caught up in an incident in 14th. Brett Stevens out of the race. Davis Braun out of the race. Pierre Robitaille out of the race. And then Rodney Campbell out of the race as well. And while we're going here, let's pull up our third place finisher, Tim Collier. First podium of the year for him. So we get him. Tim Collier, you got a copy?
I do, sir. How are you guys tonight?
We're doing great, man. You guys treated us to a show. Tim, you ran great all night. You were constantly seemed like you were glued to the 43's bumper. What more did you maybe need to have a chance to get in the win?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I came into this just wanted to get a clean run. It's one of those places where you need to just keep it clean till the last 10 or 5. And so I knew Chris and I have raced together since, if I had to really date myself, we've been racing together for about 20 years. And we used to do strictly NASCAR for a long time. So it was almost deja vu, or as I told him, it was kind of a nightmare too. But it was great. And I never once thought about going around him. I just wanted to push him to the lead.
For sure. And that 200, the Tasmanian Devil, I want to say Dale Jr., 2002. Busch Series throwback. Love that scheme. Want to also ask you next week, championship race, final race of the season already, which is crazy. Going out to Richmond Raceway, short track. How do you feel about going back out there?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I have not run Richmond in iRacing, but back in the NASCAR Racing 2003 days,
Oh,
that was my mainstay. So,
heck yeah.
but it's a whole nother story when you have to put on the brakes in these trucks. I'm still figuring things out, but I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun.
For sure, Tim. Well, we appreciate your time. Congrats on the third place finish. Before I let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to you guys. The broadcasts are absolutely fantastic. I get as hyped up as you guys do. I'm worried one of you's going to lose your voice tonight with the way the race is going. But you guys do a superb job. I want to shout out to David Anderson for doing a great job with the league, of course, and my teammates Chris Hudson, Drew Lidke, Pierre Robitaille, and Brian Zabelski. We had fun tonight, and that's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about. Well, Tim, we appreciate your time. Congratulations on the third place finish, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again next week at Richmond, or 2 weeks from now at Richmond. So have a phenomenal evening.
Thank you, sir. You guys as well.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. There's Tim Collier, your third place finisher. Eddie has caught up with second place finisher Miguel Colon.
Yeah, with Miguel, I mean, just an incredible race out of you. Just biding your time, working through the field. And there at the end, found yourself up towards the front. I mean, you were really able to keep your truck up there. Talk a little bit about your race and what you maybe needed there at the end to try to get that win from Chris.
Well, I would say it was kind of like a weird race. I tried to talk with one of the guys from TPRT to see if they were gonna be racing today. At least if we can partner together today for drafting partner. But I feel like I was like a solo guy running with a couple of the guys that were already team up. So there were a couple of people that could keep their truck steady. A couple of people that were bouncing too much around. So at the beginning, I was trying to figure out how or who I could work with it or who I could push. But then also with the cautions that were going, then I was trying to play. Okay, should I lean back, stay in the back, save fuel, see if maybe it's gonna be a fuel safe race, depending on the different cautions that happen later. But man, we had a nice run at the end. The dog number 3, he gave me a nice push over there for the last couple of laps, and then I would say we fell short by a couple feet. Like if we were a couple feet in front, we probably would get the white flag and we have race to the end. But at the end, still a nice race and good finish for us, today.
Well, this race coming home in second place, you already pretty much had the thing wrapped up. And I think this race will for sure, we're not going to crown you here tonight, but you got to feel, I mean, there's no way anybody's going to catch you in the points. You've had just a phenomenal season, and to come in here at Daytona, sort of a roll the dice type of track and car combo. You came away with a second place finish, which is sort of a cherry on top of your season, which has just been incredible. You came into the race with a 41-point lead, and you're going to extend that lead as we head out of Daytona and head to the last race. So talk a little bit about your season quickly as you can. And like I said, we're not crowning you tonight, but it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that you are going to be the champion. So talk a little bit about your season, the highs and lows, and what you're looking forward to going into the next race, knowing that you pretty much have it wrapped up.
Well, I would say, the season starting the first race from the pits, so I feel like the first race was kind of like chasing and trying to get a good finish at the end. But then I think we had a very good runs. We won some races, other races we were able to finish, decent second place or third place, which helped us a lot with the championship. I didn't know if I had to be able to lock in the championship in this race. I have a trip with the family in the next coming weeks. I don't know if it's the same week of the last race. And then I know that we have the 2-drop race. So actually, a guy that was looking in the championship, even though like you guys may not think about, it was David Brown, the guy who won the last 2 races. He has 2 drops at the first the race of the season, but then on the other races of the season, he had almost the same finishes that I had in terms of points. So I was like, okay, I need to check in Daytona if I could at least match his finish or be at least finish ahead of him, in case if he goes to the last race and he win it, but make it close in the championship. And then I saw Brett; he had a disconnection, Brent Stevenson during the race. So that gave us some more relief in terms of the points, but I think overall it's a very good season. Happy with everybody here racing. It has been very good.
Well, there you have it. Second place finish by Miguel Colon. Just an incredible season and a great run tonight. Congratulations, Miguel. Who you got to thank? Any sponsor shout outs?
Well, thanks to you guys. I love seeing these streams after the race with my wife. We laugh a lot. Listening to you and Alec with putting all that emotion, make it like this. Like we're actually racing in real cars, so that make it a lot of fun for us in our side. So I want to thank you guys for that. CMS for putting this all together. Our community in Puerto Rico, Sim Racing PR, our sponsor, Don't Say Your Magic Shop. So thank you guys.
Well, there you have it. Miguel Colon, and I think Alec is going to be caught up with Chris Hudson.
I am. Chris Hudson, Alec Martinez, Eddie Smith in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, gotcha.
Well, buddy, I must say, not to brag, but you were my pick to win tonight, and I'm glad you proved me right. So you get it done. First career win, you lead 16 laps, and a pretty close duel between you and Miguel there for the win coming off turn 4 when the caution came out. How was that, those final few laps battling there, especially with Tim and a few other guys battling you?
Yeah, we there at the end. I kind of just committed to the outside. I just thought that's going to be my best chance to be up front. So yeah, Tim is my teammate, so I was on Discord with him. So I was, and Brian was back there too. I was just saying, give me everything you got. Just punt me in the back as hard as you can and get me up front. So yeah, that caution coming out at that time, that just timed perfect. So I'll take it. I'll take it any day.
Well, for sure. And now, this year you've shown very good speed. You've shown speed we noticed on the long runs on these shorter tracks. Next week we go, or 2 weeks from now, championship race out in Richmond, a track where we know tends to go green, a lot of tire wear. How do you feel maybe a possibility of going back to back?
I think I've got a chance. I've this season I've just made some really dumb mistakes. I was just it seems like every race something stupid happens that's my fault. So so I'm hoping I broke the curse tonight. So maybe next week I'll be able to continue the good luck and finish well. So there's a lot of fast guys in this league. So anything in the top 5 would be amazing. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go for it.
For sure. Well, we appreciate your time. Also, I love the Harry Gant shirt. I'm wearing my Davey Allison shirt right now. You can't see it, but I love the Harry
Nice.
Gant shirt. Love it. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, shout out to Can-Am Racing, my teammates over there. They always do. It's always just a blast racing with those guys. We have so much fun. And also to CMS. I've been with CMS for most of my life. Actually, I've been with CMS for about 21,
Oh,
22
man.
years. I don't know. David and Tim and I have been around for a while. So there's a few others of us too. So can't say enough about this league. It's just so much fun. It's one of the one of the most fun parts of my week to jump on and just do some laps with these guys. So yeah, and then you guys, this broadcast has been so great this season. I really appreciate you guys. Makes it so much fun to go back and watch, and I know everybody's really enjoying it. So thank you guys.
We appreciate it, man. We're glad to hear it, man. Congratulations on the win, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again in 2 weeks when we see you out at Richmond.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good one. Appreciate you, Chris. That's Chris Hudson, your winner here tonight from the World Center of Racing at the Daytona International Speedway. Man, great racing all week on the edge of our seats. Eddie, man, any final closing thoughts?
Man, just a crazy race. It's fun to see guys who are really good at these type of tracks sort of shine, sort of like road courses when we go there and you get to see somebody new get up front. But then you look up front and Miguel Colon sitting there in second place, able to get that final spot. Just a wild race, a lot of, maybe some inexperience peppered in with some experienced plate racers, but as always, exciting. And I want to take a moment, not to be weird, but I want to shout you out, Alec, man. This season has really been a lot of fun. I know we're not done just yet, but I just want to shout you out, give you big props. Man, you really have made this broadcast what it is, and your enthusiasm and your excitement about these races has kind of lit a fire under my own self to be a little bit more animated even when I'm solo broadcasting. So I want to shout you out, man. You do a fantastic job, and just want to give you some props on air because I think these broadcasts are really good thanks to you. So I just wanted to do that. But yeah, just been an amazing season. This has been so much fun to watch these guys, and not a whole lot of drama. That's what I love about it. There's some irritations. Obviously, it happens in racing, but even tonight, everybody in good spirits, and it's good to see Chris Hudson win and get that dub. So it was just a lot of fun tonight.
It is. Well, I appreciate you very much. I appreciate your comments, Eddie. And you've brought a lot of energy out of me as well. You do a great job. The production has just been phenomenal, and you've taken our broadcast up a couple notches as well. Also, got to thank the sponsors, IRTES, the flagship of multi-class sports car racing series, with great sponsors, prizes, and top-level esports competition, as well as the Champion Circle, a premium member of the VIP Discord subscription. Get you great perks and special benefits, as well as the Storm Gang Simulations Group, an in-house top-level modding group for our Factor 2. And being a member of the Champions Motorsports Group, you can get exclusive opportunities to enjoy and race, their content. Man, what a race we saw here tonight from the Daytona International Speedway. Congrats to Chris Hudson, and thank you to all of those who watch our broadcast here tonight on V-Speed 2. Remember, stick around, keep updated with all of us and all these channels, the V-Speed Racing Network, as well as V-Speed 2 and the V-Speed Network. Again, many, many series going on. You've got a lot of series. Eddie's going to be broadcasting as well on Monday, Tuesday, and I believe Friday night, as well as other series going to be broadcasted on Tuesday. I'll be back Tuesday night as well for the on V-Speed with Bradley Cooper for the Below the Double Yellow Line series. They'll be starting their season off right over here at Daytona. Be sure to tune in, and be sure to tune in to all of our social media to keep you updated on what we're broadcasting, when we're broadcasting, and where you can watch and find out all the updates for us at V-Speed. Thank you to Adam Baker as well for all he does for V-Speed. This was a broadcast presented by V-Speed. Again, I'm Alec Martinez, and alongside me tonight was Eddie Smith. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Have a good one, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the championship race in Richmond.